Thank you for listening in to Conversations with Alison J, The Journey to Here. Please remember to subscribe, hit the like button and share. Hello and welcome to another episode of Conversations with Alison J, The Journey to Here. I'm your host, Alison J. Today I'm delighted to welcome our guest, Gail Adger. Gail is a raw food chef and founder of Kale Her Way. Before Gail Adger arrived into the world, chaos and trauma was already introduced into her frail being when an abortion procedure was performed on her. A few weeks later, following that, she was delivered not breathing, dead. She was placed in a trash bag about to be thrown into a dumpster. Then suddenly someone heard a cough. Can you believe it? She had survived an abortion. The miracle for Gail was not just in surviving and weighing only 2 pounds and 2 ounces, but the miracle was that she did not experience any of the side effects that most premature babies face, like congenital heart failure, undeveloped lungs, pneumonia, meningitis, loss of hearing, cerebral palsy, and so forth. However, she did have to wear contact lenses for nearsightedness. As Gail grew, she grew strong, healthy. She played various sports, competed in martial arts, was a weightlifter, and played a wind instrument and marched in the band. The irony of Gail's life is that the health problem she experienced later on in life was not as a result of surviving an abortion and being delivered premature and dead, a result of her own eating habits and choices. She had gained weight and was considered obese and fat. She had experienced shortness of breath and dizzy spells at times due to low iron levels. She lost the flexibility in her muscles and the mobility in her joints, and her energy levels were low. She felt horrible and depressed, knowing that she had contributed to her own health challenges through her poor food choices and poor eating patterns. She had that moment, like we all have had at some point, walking in front of a mirror at a clothing store when she knew her life needed to change. Shortly after, she participated in a fitness program that focused on whole food and portion control through macronutrient values, which she lost 30 pounds through. Then she was introduced to raw foods and lost another 50 pounds quite easily. To her surprise, she experienced so much more than weight loss, which is what she got super excited about eating raw food. It is also what inspired her to become a raw food chef and raw food educator. In her journey, she recognized that the raw food eating lifestyle had changed not only her body, but also her relationship with food. Able to identify the habits, patterns, and mindsets that she had developed as a child and as an adult needed to change for her to live the vibrant, energetic, and long life that she so desired. Her passion is to share the nutritional benefits of eating raw foods that led her to start a company called Kale Her Way, which uses a culinary approach to health and healing with raw foods and juices. The company crafts unique eating experiences, showcasing raw food cuisine and highlighting the science behind raw food nutrition through food demos, catering private chef events, cooking classes, and cleansing programs. Is a certified raw food educator, certified holistic practitioner as a juice therapist, and currently obtaining certification as a raw food plant-based chef. Gail, thank you so much for joining me here on Conversations with Alison J, The Journey to Here. I'm really excited to speak to you, as you know, because I am a cooked food, meat eating person. But I have contemplated going vegetarian or vegan, and I did try it, but for some reason, I just really missed meat. Or maybe it's just because I haven't found good recipes or things like that that would really pull me away from it. So I'm so interested and excited and intrigued to learn more from you. But before we go into that, even though I have read your bio and wow, I've known you for what, probably about 3-4 years now, and you just don't know people's story and backgrounds. And thank God you don't look like what you've been through. But if you just talk us through your journey, how you came to be a raw food chef, what that was like for you, and the real pull and the driving factor behind it. So, Gail, over to you. Tell us about your journey to here.
All right, well, thank you, Allison, for having me. I'm so excited to be here talking with you. And yeah, so my journey, so I had graduated college and had moved to Florida. And so I was probably in my mid-20s when I actually found out the story behind my birth. My mom told me that when I was born, I always knew that I was born premature, that I weighed 2 pounds, 2 ounces, but I never knew the reason why and didn't really think there was a reason until my mom told me. She said that when she was pregnant with me, she had moved to go stay with her aunt for a little bit during the pregnancy. And while there, she had an abortion. Now, this was in the 70s. So whatever procedures they were doing back then is what they did. And so after the procedure, I guess, a few weeks or a month or two went by. And, obviously I had to come out of her stomach. So when I came out not breathing, actually dead. And they were, had put me in a trash bag and was getting ready to put me in the dumpster, and they heard a cough. And to their surprise, they were freaking out. Obviously, they called 911, went to the hospital, and that's where I spent some time in the incubator. So I share that story as part of my health journey because I grew up completely healthy. I had no premature side effects that most babies have, congenital heart failure, pneumonia, lung disease, just, all types of health issues. I had none of those. The only thing is I had to wear glasses or contacts. So I grew up strong, grew up healthy, played sports, was in band, played wind instruments. So my lungs were strong, my heart was strong, my, had, strong muscular system. So everything was great.
Wow.
And, but, after, finishing my collegiate sports career and, settling into life and years passing and, not really paying attention to what I was eating, I quickly was gaining weight and knew I needed to do something. And when you need to change, but you have kind of like that light bulb moment where something clicks in your mind and you're like, you got to do something. Well, that moment happened for me when I walked in front of a mirror at a clothing store and was just like, couldn't believe, like, oh my goodness. Now they say the mirrors in clothing stores are supposed to make you look thinner. If they did, it did not make me look any thinner. So I just knew from that point that I needed to do something. So I embarked upon, some fitness programs that I participated in. And really it was just in the beginning, just about portion control, cutting out the processed foods, still ate meat, eating, starches and vegetables and fruits and, dairy and things like that. And added in some exercise and lost about 30 pounds on that because I really knew what I was eating because I had to write it down. And I was like, wow, this is really cool. And so the next level from that, I attended a health and fitness workshop. And one of the speakers, I just, approached him after the workshop and we were just talking. And he was like, well, there are people that live on raw foods. And I was like, raw foods? I'm like, what are raw foods? And he was like basically saying there are fruits and vegetables, foods that are safe to eat raw or foods that are not heated above, let's say 115 degrees. They're either dehydrated or, just on a low temperature. Okay. So it intrigued me because I still needed to lose, although I had lost 30 pounds, which I was really excited about, still had to go like 50 more pounds. And so when he said it, it was a seed planted. And it just stuck with me. I didn't think to go on a raw food diet, but the seed had been planted. And I was like, and I like challenging myself. So I was like, let me see what this is about. So I just did research. I spent about 2-3 weeks just researching, finding raw food, people that were living on a raw food lifestyle. I like to say lifestyle instead of diet. people that were either vegan, and people that were athletes, living on a plant-based diet, competing, high-level sports, high-level performance, people living on plant-based diets. And I'm like, wow, seems like it's working for a few people. And the thing about a raw food lifestyle that I noticed is that one of the main things is that people were healing of diseases. So people were coming off medication, heart disease was being healed. They were, asthma was clearing up, coming off insulin, diabetes going away, all kinds of, just awesome, results from eating a raw food lifestyle. And I wasn't a sickly person. So when I incorporated a raw food lifestyle, I wasn't sick. I wasn't trying to, heal of a disease or anything. I just needed to lose weight. And it came off rather quickly. I mean, just, eating raw food, finding recipes online, making recipes, and just the creativity of it is what really excited me. Knowing that I could still eat burgers, tacos, pizza, pies. It was just a different way to make it, just using fresh, organic, plant-based ingredients. And so I lost the extra 50 pounds. But what I didn't expect was there were actually health issues that did clear up in my body. Now, when I say I incorporated the raw food lifestyle, not trying to heal of a disease, because I didn't think that I had any. I didn't think I had any disease, but there were some things going on in my body that I either had gotten used to, and it was just in the back of my mind that it was part of my daily life, and just didn't realize that that was not normal. So as I got to, eating a raw food lifestyle, things started clearing up. My eyesight improved. The mucus and congestion that I had went away, which I thought was normal. You wake up, you're congested, it'll go away throughout the day, the inflammation and swelling that I had went away. I mean, rings were literally swirling around my fingers. Couldn't wear any of my rings anymore. My skin cleared up. All the dark spots started lightening, going away. And my heart got stronger. I could work out. And you know how when you work out, you have to catch your breath? Well, that recovery breath was so much quicker. Like I would be like, and then it would like come back like really quick. And I'm like, I could go again, And so that cardiovascular improved. I mean, it was just so many amazing results. And I was like, this raw food thing there's something to it. It's just not for weight loss. It really is for health. And even if you don't have anything that's diagnosed, there's some things that you thought was normal, like that pain or that stiffness, that you've gotten accustomed to. A raw food diet actually can get rid of it, and you're like, oh, that's not normal. And then when it goes away, you're like, oh my gosh, I've been living beneath my body's maximum potential, So that's what did it for me. Not just the weight loss and not just the health benefits, but also the productivity level and the clarity of mind and focus. I could think clearer. I mean, creative ideas came quicker, faster, and I could get more done because I had energy, and I just felt like I always wanted to do something, because I felt like I needed to be doing something, like productive. And so that was it for me, because I was like, I can get a lot done out of life if my body allows me to do it. And so that's another thing that excited me. And so that's where I am now. I just want people to feel energetic and lively and longevity. And I say raw foods is the fountain of youth,
That we're all looking for.
Yeah. And I heard a quote. Somebody said that we're all trying to add more years to our life when we should be adding more life to our years. And that's what raw foods did for me. I want to add more life to my years.
That's interesting. And I'm so glad that you touched on the points of it cleared up things in your health, your physical health, that you didn't even know you had. Because as you were mentioning that, things that we think are normal. I remember, oh gosh, this would have been about 10, 11 years ago now. I was doing, as you know, customary in the church, at the beginning of the year, we do the Daniel fast, right? I had never done it before. So I was going to give it a try. But at the time that I was about to give it a try, I had just met just started dating someone who is still a personal trainer. And he was also on this journey of discovery with foods and eliminating foods. So I told him about the Daniel fast. So we decided we were going to do it together. I did it. And because I've always been a small person and losing weight has never been difficult for me, I'm with that person that people are like, oh my gosh, you're so lucky, because gaining weight has always been the hard thing for me to do. But I noticed within maybe about a week and a half, I was walking down the street and I realized I was walking on the backs of my trousers, my pants. And I thought, what is going on? Because that's how the weight had just dropped off. And then, but you know what it's like after we do the 21-day Daniel fast, we go right back to eating the things we were eating before. So Alison went to eat a baked potato.
Mm.
Oh my good night. The stomach cramping that I had after eating that potato and the way that my body felt, the only thing I could liken it to, I felt like as I was walking, I was waddling. And when you watch a very heavily pregnant woman get out of the chair, it's like she pushes herself out. And that's how I had to get out of my chair, Gail. And the only thing at that time that I had reintroduced into my diet was potato. So I knew eating white potato, or what they call Irish potatoes, that's what it did. But then I was thinking, all this time, I thought that discomfort after eating was just normal.
Mm.
When really it wasn't, because when I wasn't eating it, I didn't have that. So it's interesting that you say all the things we think's normal, the mucus in the morning and the congestion and all of those things, because if we eat too much dairy produces the mucus and things. But a lot of us were eating these things. We don't know what thing has what effect. So we just think it's normal because it's what we've always eaten, right?
Right.
So it's so interesting that you should say that. So thank you for actually clarifying and clearing that up, because again, you've got a lot of people that they just take it as normal, because the amount of times when people have eaten something, they feel something afterwards and that, oh, that's normal because I've just eaten X thing.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But it doesn't have to be that way. But one of the things I also want to ask you, and you mentioning that, is raw foods and things that are not heated above, did you say 115 degrees?
Mm-hmm.
So you'll have people say, well, why can't you cook it? Because like, I'm vegan and I cook my food. So, well, I'm not vegan. Let me just put that out there, just in case somebody sees me eating some fried chicken or something. I am not vegan. But somebody might say that I'm vegan and I cook my food, so why should I not? So what are the differences between like somebody that's vegan and cooks their meals and raw foods? What are some of the real differences?
Okay, that's a good question, because you have a lot of people that go from, eating a traditional, American diet to cutting out the meat and going vegan and have amazing benefits. And that works for them. I started a company called Kale Her Way. And so I think we just help people, find their way with raw foods. Now, raw foods doesn't have to be all or nothing. Not everybody's going to, take on a raw food diet lifestyle, a raw food eating lifestyle like 100%. One of my goals is just to help people to incorporate more fresh fruits and fresh vegetables into their diet. Or for those that may have a health challenge, do a detox, do a raw food, eating lifestyle for a certain number of days, to get the results that you want, and then help them to, incorporate and find their way to their own eating lifestyle, but making sure that they're getting in those fresh fruits and fresh vegetables, because okay. So the difference between cooked and uncooked. So again, I think it's just a preference in terms of what you want to eat. Again, you can go vegan, cook all your food, and still experience great, amazing health benefits for the rest of your life. for me, when I incorporated raw foods, it was kind of like a next step up. Like, I'm operating at this level, I'm doing good, but I want more. So it's kind of like, okay, let's cut out the cooked food and now let's eat a raw food based diet. So raw foods is basically, the concept is that you don't want the heat to destroy or minimize the nutritional quality of the food, meaning that you don't want to cook out the enzymes, the minerals, the phytonutrients, and things like that. And so when you eat it raw, you're getting all of that plant's life in you, all of the life, because it's still alive. It's living food, and it hasn't been heated and I don't want to say damaged, but I would say minimized. Because even though you cook your food, you're still getting, some minerals and vitamins and things of that sort. Now with raw foods, because most of the foods you eat, they are water rich, meaning that they have a high water content. And sometimes depending on how you cook your food, can have an adverse effect, because some foods, the way you cook it, whether you bake it or grill it or some other cooking methods that take water out of the food, if it's a plant-based food and you're taking the water out, it's like you're increasing the, how can I say it? You're increasing the density of the food, and that way you're eating less. And so you're pretty much getting rid of the nutrients and the minerals and so forth. I might be not explaining it exactly correct, but with raw foods, you're keeping the plant, the fruit, the vegetable is still hydrated, so you're still getting all of that as well. Because have you ever heard someone say, if you're going to cook your vegetables, or if you're going to boil like some greens or vegetables in a pot to drink the liquid, that's because the minerals and the vitamins have leached out into the water.
Believe me, I haven't heard it. My mother is Jamaican. I've done it. Yes.
So
they call it pot water. So I've drank, especially with things like when it's like green bananas, because it's rich in iron and things like that. So yes, I've not just heard about it. I've lived there.
So they call it pot water?
Yes.
We used to call it pot liquor.
Right, there you go. So I'm going to have to make sure that when this video goes up, my mother doesn't watch it, because she's going to want to make me drink it even more. So we're going to cut that part out, right? No, I'm just kidding.
So there's one other thing I wanted to say about cooked and non-cooked, and it'll come back to me. It was just on the tip of my tongue.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, hopefully it will come back.
That's okay.
But thank you so much for explaining that, because that is something that, as somebody that has contemplated it, and I hope one day I hope to get there, because I do want to be healthier. In a few short weeks, I'm going to be 50, and I want to make sure that at 50, I look and I feel the way and I hope they match, I should say, because I want to, I believe, well, many people tell me I don't look my age. So, thank God for that. So, but I want to make sure that I also feel that way on the inside, because there's no point in you look a certain way and then the inside you're unhealthy. And one of the things I knew about that, because again, I've always been slim. So when people would hear me say that I'm going to the gym or whatever, it would always be a case of, oh, you don't need to go to the gym. What do you need to go to the gym for? And I says, just because I'm slim doesn't mean I'm healthy.
Right.
And so I could get physically fit and make sure that I'm toned and everything. But then obviously, I remember again, many years ago, a company I worked for, we had a gym inside. And so the building security, they had cameras everywhere. And we also had a restaurant inside the building. So I remember going to the gym, coming out, and I went and I got a burger and chips, or over in the US, they refer to it as burger and fries. And the guy came out and it's like, what was the point? You just been in the gym, now you're out here eating a burger and chips. But in my head, I didn't have the knowledge to know that, because I was hungry and I just needed to fuel myself so I could go home. So I want to make sure that I'm eating the right things, so that I'm not just young looking 50 plus, 60 plus year olds, but I'm also a young feeling inside
Yes,
and healthy inside
that's
50,
it.
60, 70-year-olds as well. So thank you
Yeah.
very much for that. And it's going to lead nicely into, you are going to prepare something for us today, Gail.
Yes, I remembered what I was going to say.
Okay.
When you heat certain foods, when you heat them, and then depending on how you cook them, you change the structural integrity of the food, and sometimes that can not be good for you when you ingest it. I don't know if you've heard like when you grill meat, some people agree, some people disagree, that when you grill meat, it actually turns into a substance that can be carcinogenic in your body.
I have heard that. Now that you said, as you've mentioned the word carcinogenic, I have heard that. Yeah, because there's something to do with the grilling process and how that heat is done. That's it. But so if
And
you
that's
fry
specific
food,
for me.
that's specifically meat.
Mhm.
Wow, that's very interesting. I'm now trying to think. I don't eat that much in the way of grilled meat. But so if you like roast it in the oven or cook it another way, does the same thing happen? And is it a particular meat? Is it like beef or chicken, or is it just all meats?
It's all meat, especially when you grill it. Now, it just depends. It depends. Depends on how you cook it, what it is. But mainly it's grilling the meats. When you bake it, I think it's not as bad, but it's still heated, and it's still meat.
Yeah, well,
I
there
would,
we go.
but if you had to choose baking over grilling, I would recommend baking.
That is interesting, and thank you so much for that reminder, because I think it was one of those things I heard in like an off the cuff remark, and I didn't really pay that much attention to it to go and research it or look into it for myself. So thank you so much for that reminder, giving me, no pun intended or every pun intended, a lot of food for thought, Gail. And I'm sure in your head you're probably saying, yeah, because I haven't heard that one yet, right?
And so you had mentioned earlier that you want to make sure you're eating healthy. I think if you just understand your body and understand the biological processes that go on in your body and understanding how the body works. So let's take, for example, digestion. So digestion, whenever you eat, all of your body's resources and energy goes towards digesting that food, breaking it down, doing this, doing that, and all of that. So when it comes to raw foods and plant-based food, your body doesn't take as much energy to digest the food because it's just because of the nature of it's a fruit, it's a vegetable, it's plant-based.
And is it because it's water, a lot of water as well?
Pretty much because they're carbs. So they're carbs. When it comes to like oils and fats and meats, of course, breads and things like that. So those things are like taxing on the digestive, and it takes longer. So this is why when you incorporate a raw eating lifestyle, your body can use more resources for healing, restoration, rejuvenation, instead of digesting all the time. Right? So
yeah, that's good to know.
When people fast or eat fruits and vegetables, they're energetic because they're not, their energy's not bogged down digesting.
That's really good to know. Thank you for that, because a friend of mine in London, he fasts a lot. And he's saying, oh, I just love it because I can do more. My thinking, my critical thinking is sharper and clearer.
Exactly.
And I'm sitting there like, good for you, because I like to eat. Say to people, look, don't let the size fool you. I like to eat. I like to eat a lot.
And that was my problem. I like to eat too, but now I switch everything over to plant-based because I can still have burgers. You know, it's not a meat burger, but it's a bean burger, it's a veggie burger. It's very filling, I can still have pizza and tacos and pasta, vegetable versions of it. And when you incorporate a raw vegan lifestyle, either 100% or 50% or whatever level, because your body naturally detoxifies itself, right? The liver detoxifies, the lymph system, cleanses the body, other organs, the sweat and perspiration, helps, eliminate toxins and, from the body, because the body, there's toxins that come in from the external world, the air we breathe, the products and things we put on our skin, the food that we eat, but also you have internal, what we call byproducts of chemical processing. The body's breaking this down, the cells are doing this, and your body's doing that. So sometimes your body processes will create byproducts that need to be released from the body. So when you incorporate a raw eating lifestyle, you are helping that detoxification. So it's like you're detoxing, like, you're eating foods that help and support that detoxification. So it's not like, so to me, eating a raw lifestyle is like you're fasting all the time. It's like living a fasted lifestyle because you are eating. Funny you should mention the Daniel's fast. Can I give you my viewpoint on that?
Please do, because as you were saying that, you're saying you're living that fasting lifestyle. In my head, I was thinking, come January, Gail never has to do the Daniel fast because Gail just has to eat what she normally eats in, right?
Exactly. I might have to fast some sweets or something like that. But my view on the story is that when in the story, of course, there's Daniel and his friends. They do not want to defile their body, right? Because most, of course, we believe it to be because of their values, the way they grew up, and certain foods that they were not to eat, pretty much like kosher, but a part of that, I believe that they didn't want to eat certain foods to defile their purpose, their assignment and what they were called to do. Because think about it, if they were to eat those heavy foods, the meats, the savory sweets, and things like that, then, in a sense, they would have been like, weighed down. They wouldn't have been able to think clear. And then, so the purpose that they were called to or assigned to would have either kind of been hindered or delayed because they would not have been able to move as efficiently in that as they would have if they just stuck to the, the water and what they call pulses or vegetables, plant-based eating. And what I like to point out in that story is that they did it they did a trial period, right? For what, 21 days, was it? I don't remember.
Yeah.
21 days.
I'm trying to remember because it's like, you hear so many conflicting things. And I actually need to go back to the book of Daniel to really find out. Because some people say 21 days because the 21 days signifies how long the prayer was held up for. So, but I think they did do that for 21 days. I'm going to look it up real quick.
So you go from 21 days where Daniel and 3 of his friends just ate water and fruits and vegetables. At the end of that trial period, right? They had more flesh on their skin, which means they gained weight.
Wow.
They looked fairer and they were stronger than the other boys.
That's
young
right.
boys.
Yes. Because when they asked, the guard was afraid, and he says no, because basically the guard was afraid that they would look more malnourished than the others, and found out that they didn't. Yes, as you say that, because I'm just looking it up to see how long it was for.
So those that actually want to gain weight, you can actually gain weight on a raw vegan diet. You can lose weight on a raw vegan diet. And just, you just have to make sure you're getting your calories and those types of things in. So after the 21 days, the guard was like, okay, everybody eats fruits and vegetables. They did that for 3 years.
Wow.
And then when they were released to go on to their assignment, Daniel continued that as for the whole time that he served the king, and that was another 70 years. So why would he go 21 days, 3 years, only to go back?
Yeah, it makes no sense. It actually makes no sense.
So that just proves that eating a plant-based diet, even a raw vegan one, or cooked one, it promotes longevity. It leads to long life, and it leads to life in your years.
Yeah,
so,
it does.
Do you want to get to this recipe?
Yes, please. I'm very excited, and I'm going to sit back with my cucumber and ginger juice. And this is not just me doing it before you. I actually drink one of these almost every day.
Okay. Okay.
So
now,
it's not pretending for the purposes of this. I drink one of these every day almost.
Sure.
I know, right? She says. Yeah, it's laced with something. No, just kidding. It really is just cucumber and ginger.
Okay. Sounds delicious. I love cucumber water. Okay, so you ready for me to go over the recipe?
I'm ready. And Gail, I haven't had my dinner. So looking at what I've seen so far, I feel like I might just be licking my screen. So please pardon me if I start salivating and all kinds of stuff, right? Well, from the conversation we had, because I remember the conversation that we had, so I already know what's coming because you've told me, and I'm just like, Lord, help me, Jesus, through this thing, because I'm kind of hungry already. But over to you.
Okay, so as I'm preparing some of the dishes, if you want to interject and ask questions, you can feel free, because in cutting up some of the vegetables, I may go silent.
Okay.
But what we're going to be making today is my raw version of P.F. Chang's lettuce wraps, or lettuce cups. We're going to do lettuce cups. So it's raw vegan, so that means there's no meat, and we won't be cooking it. However, if you want to dehydrate the mixture to kind of dry out some of the moisture, you can definitely do that. But for today, we're going to eat it as soon as we make it. So the filling that we're going to use is, first thing we're going to use is our walnuts. So we're going to chop up these. We're going to chop up about a cup of those. And then we are going to chop up some mushrooms. I don't know if you can see that. I don't know what's all on camera. So I'll pull those back so you can see.
Yep, we can see that.
Portobello mushrooms. And my new favorite thing now is jicama. It's Jicama, jicama. And it's a root. It's not a vegetable. It's actually the root of a bean plant. Okay. And so you can actually eat it raw. It has a mild sweetness to it and a mild nuttiness to it. It is so good. And it's got it's water. It has water in it, so it's like really juicy, but it's crunchy. So it's not like mushy, it's like crunchy. You can think of maybe like watermelon, but kind of a little bit firmer than that. Okay. So we're going to be using this. So we're going to take these 3 ingredients, and then we're going to marinate those in some coconut aminos. Now, coconut aminos is a soy, it's like a soy sauce alternative. So if you don't want to do soy, it's coconut aminos, and it comes from the coconut blossom bud with some a little bit of salt and some vinegar, and I think that's it. Maybe a little bit of sweetener. But this is so good. It tastes just like, it reminds me of hoisin sauce. If you've ever had hoisin sauce,
I do.
It reminds me of that. So this is coconut aminos to give you that flavor. And then we're going to add in some apple cider vinegar into the sauce. And then we're going to add in, of course, we have to add in the awesome, oh my goodness, I'm drawing a blank. Is this oil? Oh my goodness, sesame oil, toasted sesame oil. Sorry.
That's okay.
Sesame oil and some agave nectar. If we need to add in a little bit of sweetness, we're going to put in some grated ginger, and we're going to do some garlic salt. I'm sorry, not garlic salt, garlic powder and onion powder, the seasoning. So let me get those three things chopped up and marinating, and then we'll go over our toppings. So our toppings are going to include, we have some green onions, we're gonna do some carrots, some red cabbage, and of course, gotta top it off with some avocado. So that is gonna be delicious. So you got any questions while I?
Not quite yet, because I'm looking and learning, Gail. I'm looking and learning. Because because if that was me now, there would be some kind of ground meat in there.
There are several recipes on how to make ground beef from vegetables. You can use cauliflower. Real popular nowadays is the cauliflower rice.
Yes, my
You can take cauliflower and carrots, and then put in like some seasonings like paprika, cumin, and saute it in a pan.
But yeah, cauliflower rice is something that I have had before. I must admit, I haven't had it in many years. But yeah, may go back to it. I've actually eaten something cauliflower with my dinner yesterday, so who knows?
Yes.
And but thinking about it, I'm thinking the reality of a lot of what we eat and the way we eat, a lot of that is cultural, and it's because we just really don't know any different. Because like I'm thinking about it, when I was growing up, like I mentioned, my family's from Jamaica, so growing up you would hear about the Rastafarians and the way they lived, but they were then seen as like the outcasts of society. But now if you look at their diet, is this not what they do? The vegan raw foods diet, that is basically their diet. Now we've got a fancy name for it, we call it ITIL. But once upon a time, it was just considered a complete taboo and no to live that life.
Really?
Yeah. So it's actually quite interesting that out of cultural, and I don't mean this in a derogatory way, but cultural ignorance, the people that, and if you look at it as well, the people that were the outcasts, they were the ones actually living the life with the Daniel fast diet. Because that's what they do. Because if my memory serves me right, they don't eat any meats, and they don't eat animal products, and they don't add like artificial salt to their food. Everything is fresh and from the land. So that's pretty much the Daniel diet, isn't it?
Yeah. And ironically, my grandmother, she actually grew her vegetables and fruits. And we used to actually go into the field and help her pick. Like every season, we would do peas, corn, okra. She had lettuce, tomatoes, watermelon. I mean, whatever could go in the ground, she was planting it. And it was funny because we would eat the lettuce straight from the field, like wash off the dirt and the bugs and eat it.
Yeah.
And then we would be like, oh yeah, this is nasty. This doesn't taste like the store. My mom was like, no, it's not going to taste like the store because it's fresh. So it's like, this is what real lettuce tastes like? Yeah, that was an eye opener for me.
Yeah, and it's interesting that you should say that, because in my early teens, I spent a couple of years living in Jamaica. So the same thing. I remember giving myself colic because right at the side of the veranda, we had a tangerine tree, and I literally spent, I think it was a Saturday, spent the day just reaching out my hand, picking one and eating it. And I was literally like one after the other. And it tastes so different from the store-bought. And even down to, we then went on, because we had a few acres of land that we lived on. and had chickens. I remember it was the Saturday night and we needed the chicken for Sunday dinner, right? And nobody and nobody actually wanted to go and kill this chicken. And you know, me being me, I was like, oh, I'll do it. And I remember going out there, killing the chicken for dinner, and
You
then
did?
eating it and think, yeah, oh yeah, I've done it. I know a lot of people look at me and think I've never kind of lived any kind of life. Oh, believe me, I've killed, I've hunted, killed, and eaten. I've done it. I have done it. Yes, I killed a chicken, but in fact, I did it more than once as well. So, and then I remember in eating it, it tasted so different to what we were used to buying in the supermarkets. It was, you could taste the difference and know the difference. So as you're saying that, you just took me back there, Gail. Gail, you took me back somewhere and reminded me of just, yeah, how fresh and how different the fruits and the vegetables and even the meats.
Yeah, I had that same experience too. One of my cousins or uncles, you know, they killed the chicken and, you know, and we had it for dinner. I remember we had to pluck the feathers off of it. And I was like, I don't want to eat that. It stinks. And when we ate it, it was so much different from what was in the store. It even actually looked different. The color, the skin color, even the skin texture, it was all different.
And the size of it, it was nowhere near as big. Because it wasn't pumped full of anything.
Exactly. So I'm cutting the jicama.
Okay.
Right? So it's a famous recipe. So a lot of raw foodies call them like jicama fries, right?
Okay.
So they're very watery, very crisp, and have a sweetness to it. Very good. So you can eat these raw.
Okay. So what you're doing is, so you've got you said the nuts. Sorry. What kind of nuts are they again?
I'm sorry. These are walnuts.
No, you did mention, I just couldn't remember. So you got the walnuts, the mushrooms, and what did you say? The jicama?
Jicama.
Jicama. Okay, just make sure I got that right.
It comes from Mexico. It's actually also known as a Mexican chestnut. That's what it is. If you think of a chestnut, that's kind of what it is, but it's sweeter.
Okay. So you get, those are the, so is that what you would call, like, those are the base ingredients?
Yeah, this is the filling. So this is kind of, I guess what you said, you needed meat. This is your meat.
Okay.
Alice was like, I don't see that. I don't see that.
Yeah, you notice that, okay. But the okay was a little different. It's like, okay.
Yeah. But it's all about the flavors and the seasoning, you know, because most people don't want to go vegan or eat a vegetarian diet because it's like either one, they think they're just going to eat salads all day, or they think that it's going to taste bland and flavorless. So as long as you know how to combine flavors,
and
you can eat pretty much anything.
That is very true.
Because even though the jicama is good by itself, we're going to add all of these flavorings to it.
Yeah, because as you mentioned about the flavorings, because I remember one year, because traditionally in Jamaican households, you have like the national dish of Jamaica is ackee and saltfish.
Yes.
Right. So traditionally, what you would do is like Christmas morning or Easter morning, that would be the breakfast, ackee and saltfish and fried dumpling and all the rest of it. But I forgot to buy the saltfish.
Oh no.
So it's just like, but you know what I did? I got the fish seasoning and all the different seasonings and I added it to it and nobody knew there was no fish in there. Nobody knew that the saltfish was missing. And it's only because somebody realized that, hold on, there's a texture missing. But it wasn't because of the taste or the flavor, it was the texture that they were missing. So I just thought, yes, see, see.
You got it.
So you saying that again, you just reminded me. I've only ever done that once, but at least I had it in my head that should I ever forget an ingredient again, I can make up for it with the seasonings.
Yes, absolutely. See, you're well on your way.
So yeah, so I could possibly do this vegan thing, Gail. I could, might be, kind of, sort of, maybe.
Right. So even if you don't do it all the way, I like to tell people make breakfast raw, right? Because I don't know if you've heard of your circadian rhythm, like your body, your body works off like an 8-hour clock. I mean, it's a 24-hour clock divided up into 3 segments of 8 hours, right?
Yes.
So there's a period to where your body is ready to receive nutrients. There's a period in which your body is assimilating and, utilizing those nutrients. And then there's a period where it's just fasting and resting. Right.
Yeah.
So that's why you have a lot of people that don't eat after 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock, is because that's kind of around the time your body kind of goes into what we call fasting mode. Right. And that's for 8 hours. So from 8 p.m. to 4 a.m., your body's fasting. And then from 4 a.m. to 12 noon, your body's like ready to take in nutrients. So it's kind of like, you remember when you said you was on a 21-day Daniel fast and all of a sudden the next day you ate a baked potato? So imagine how people have gotten so used to doing that when they wake up in the morning, they eat that heavy breakfast, because probably initially they probably had that stomach ache. And then was like, oh, this is normal, I'll just keep doing it. They're eating the pancakes, the eggs, the sausage, the donuts, the breads, whatever, breakfast they're eating to break that fast, right? That's what it's called, breakfast. You're breaking the fast. And so I would recommend doing something that's water rich, like when you wake up for breakfast, maybe drink a juice, like a fresh squeezed juice, not one of those sweet ones, a fresh squeezed juice, right? And then maybe a couple of hours later, maybe do a smoothie, or just eat some fresh fruits, right? And then around 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, then you can have like your regular meal, and then have your regular meal for dinner, but just don't eat after 8. So those are like some health practices that you can incorporate, even if you're not on a raw vegan lifestyle, but at least make your breakfast, raw. I think this is good. So you see most of the jicama, the mushroom, and the walnuts. So we're going to take our coconut aminos, going to pour that in there. I'll say about 4 tablespoons. And then we're going to add the apple cider vinegar. So normally we're supposed to let this marinate a little bit, but you can see, see how it's now getting that nice rich color.
Gail, I told you I was hungry and I didn't eat. My goodness. And you're saying that about people tending not to eat, or should try not to eat past this past 8. I must admit, I am one of the worst for that, in that I eat late. I don't think I actually eat my dinner before 8 p.m. And most of that is by the time I've finished work, gotten home. I don't get home that much before 8 o'clock anyway. So that's one thing, for years I've gotten into that habit of actually eating late, just simply because I like to have my dinner once I get home.
Right. And that's another thing. You have to find a eating lifestyle that fits your current lifestyle. Some people say that, oh, I don't have time to prepare all of that raw foods. And there are some recipes that you can make that's quick and easy. Some like this is like quick and easy.
And was that just the garlic and garlic powder and onion powder you just put in there?
Yes, onion and garlic powder, yes. And then what else was I supposed to add? Actually, let me give it a little taste, see what I need to add or don't add. Gosh. It's perfect. Wow.
So did you put the sesame oil in there? Did I forget that?
Oh, I did not put the sesame oil. Thanks for that reminder.
That's okay.
That's not the oil, sorry. They all look alike. I think this is, oh, there it is. Yes, just a little bit of oil. So you are correct. So we got the sesame oil, the coconut aminos, we added some apple cider vinegar, and the garlic and onion powder.
Right. That looks good already, Gail.
And now when you dehydrate this, when you pull out some of the moisture, it actually will darken in color. So it'll actually look a little bit more like meat.
Mm.
And the walnuts in here gives it that kind of like a meaty flavor. I don't know if you ever noticed that whenever, raw vegans or vegans want like a meat substitute, walnuts is used. Like when I make my spaghetti and meatballs,
Mm-hmm.
I'll use walnuts and sun-dried tomatoes for the meat mixture.
Okay, that's good to know.
So we're gonna let this marinate over to the side. And then we're gonna do our, I forgot the grated ginger. We know ginger goes good in everything, right?
Mm-hmm. I've got my cucumber and ginger juice here to prove it.
You're drinking some right now. And ginger is great because it's anti-inflammatory. So it's definitely good for the body. And we know it's good for the stomach. You know, people drink ginger tea for upset stomach.
Yes, I must admit, I've always got some ginger in the home. If it's not in the fridge, it's in the freezer. And if it's not in the freezer, it's the ginger tea, it's the ginger powder, everything ginger. I've got ginger mints.
Ginger mint?
Yes, ginger mints. Those are really good. Like if you're out, there's a couple of times I've been out and eaten something, I'm like, oh, my stomach doesn't feel quite right. Pop one of those bad boys in, you're good to go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
ginger everything.
Oh, so between the sesame oil and the fresh grated ginger, this is gonna have, this is bursting with flavors already, and you don't even have to taste it. Yummy.
Like, it's a pity this isn't smell-o-vision, so I could just like,
yeah, I know. Oh, and I get excited, because I like to eat. So and really on a raw food diet for me, because I really didn't eat a lot of oil or fatty foods. I would eat nuts from time to time and put oil in a few of the dishes. But for the most part, I ate as much raw foods as I could. I was like eating. And so with raw foods, it's like you don't have to count calories, you don't have to do portion control. You just eat.
My God.
That's another reason why I like it too. I don't have to think about how much I'm eating.
Yeah, I must admit, I've never been that person to think about how much I'm eating. Now that you're saying that I'm portion control, I'm like, that'll be a completely new concept for me. Control. Interesting. What does that even look like? But yes, I know that I need to be more disciplined and start to do that. So thank you very much, Gail, for schooling me.
Absolutely. Okay, so we have our cabbage shredded. And another thing about recipes is that it has to look good, right? And it has to taste good. So normally with the lettuce cups, you just put your filling in the lettuce, do your little sauce, and you're done. But we want to add some color. We got the purple from the cabbage. We're going to add some orange from the carrots, and we have green from the green onions. So that's going to make it really eye-appealing, because they say we eat with our eyes, right?
Yes, absolutely. It's going to be very interesting. And like we were saying the other day, it's like we really had to wait until I moved away before you do this, and now I'm just like, really, Gail? I'm hungry.
I know.
Like, really?
And another thing is like cool kitchen gadgets, right? So instead of shredding the carrot, I'm actually going to spiralize it. So when I put it on top of the lettuce wraps, I have some curly cues.
I need one of those in my life because I must admit I am a kitchen gadget person. I do like my gadgets in the kitchen. I don't have that. I need it. So you can message me later and tell me where I can find one of those to buy because it looks so cool. Because can you use that with like I was gonna say courgettes, zucchini?
Mm-hmm.
So you can pretty much use that with anything.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
But you probably have to get one with maybe with a little bit bigger opening. For the zucchini, I actually have the bigger one that you turn.
Okay.
And it comes out on the other end.
Ah, so you can have like vegetable noodles and things like that.
Absolutely.
And spaghetti. And I must admit, I do sometimes have the spaghetti squash.
Oh, that one was a new one for me. So when I want to eat something cooked, I'll go to the spaghetti squash. I love that. But I'll do like a raw spaghetti sauce with it.
Okay. Mm-hmm. I'm going to have to get that recipe from you because I must admit, I do like the spaghetti squash to move away from the carbs in the wheat of the pasta and things like that.
Right.
Yeah. And I just like, slice that bad boy in half, take the seeds out, and I just put like some lightly oil it and put a lot like different seasonings in it. Mm-hmm. In the oven. Oh my goodness. Like, wow. I'm making my own self hungry here. It was bad enough watching you do this. Now I'm making myself hungry.
Mm-hmm. And even with some of these squashes, I actually do like a raw soup. Like I'll take an acorn squash or butternut squash without cooking it, just chop it up, put in like some coconut milk, some seasonings, put it in the blender, and actually make a raw soup.
That sounds good. That sounds so good. So you're talking to us about raw foods.
Mm-hmm.
So you did mention, I just want to state again, it doesn't mean you can now throw out your cooker in your oven and you're never going to eat anything cooked again, right?
Right. It all depends, on how you're feeling, because once your body starts operating like on an optimum level, you're really not going to want to eat anything that's going to interfere with that. But from time to time, but what I did notice, because I had been on a raw food diet, what I did notice is that if I did, because like you said, do the 21 days and then day 22 is like, burger, fries.
Like, yeah.
And so I've had those cycles, I'll do good, recently, I'll do good on a raw food diet. And it's like, okay, I just want something like bad, which is okay from time to time, but as long as you're like consistently like on your raw food diet. But what was I going to say? Forgot. We're talking about
burn out the oven.
Yes. So there are times that you're going to want something hot, because I'll make the raw soup and then I'll put it in a pot and just like lightly warm it or something like that. Or sometimes you might want, squash or some peas. I love lentils.
Yeah.
Love lentils, love chickpeas, love yellow split peas. So yeah, so things like that I'll eat.
Oh, okay.
So we have our toppings. So the last thing we're gonna do is we're gonna make a drizzle sauce. And we're gonna use some regular mustard, which is made from mustard seeds and vinegar. Mm-hmm. We're going to add in some, you can only use a little bit of this. This is spicy. This is what we call chili oil. So it only calls for 2 tablespoons, but I'm going to use half of this. So I remember the first time I ate that, it was hot, but it was so good with all the sauces. I said, okay. And then I put a little bit more cider vinegar in there. We're going to put some agave nectar, which is a little bit of sweetener. And then we're going to add some more, which I ran out. I'll just grab the bottles here. So we're just going to add some more coconut aminos. And I'm just adding a little bit because I really kind of want this sauce to be somewhat thick and not runny.
Okay.
So I'll adjust it as I go. A little bit of sesame oil. And then we're gonna mix that up. So we can either drizzle or we can dip.
Ooh.
So I'm thinking this is gonna be a drizzle because I want to add some more of those coconut aminos. Ooh, that smells good. Yeah, we're gonna need some more of this. And just a tad bit more sesame oil. And that's the thing about raw foods. I mean, of course, that's the case with any recipe. You know, it's gonna have its measurements and things like that, but you just, you know, adjust as you go.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow, this is looking really, really good. I should have had a whisk. It would have.
It looks so good.
All right, this is my tasting fork.
All those different colors just look so absolutely amazing, Gail. Stop it.
That chili oil is hot. You saw how much little bit.
Yeah, or how little, not even how much, how little you put in there.
You're getting the vinegar taste. You're getting the mustard out. The only thing I would just add, it really doesn't need it, but I'm just gonna add, is this my agave? These look alike, so I know what I'm doing. These two just look the same in color, so I just want to make sure.
Now that you're holding them up, yeah, you can see that.
All right, that's it. That one's thick. So just add a little bit more sweetness to that one, and then we're ready to put this together.
Oh, you know,
not take very long at all, did it?
No, it didn't. You know, the unfortunate things. You know, when you're watching those cooking shows and the host is there right by them and able to taste it. This is not fair.
I'm so sorry.
This is just so not fair. Like, man.
All right, so let me make some room. So let me see how I'm going to do this. Slide this over because I want this lettuce cups to be the star of the show. We're going to top with some sesame seeds. All right. Okay, so
Yeah, I'm hungry.
Our lettuce. And the cool thing is I recommend using the iceberg lettuce because you're going to get the heat from the chili oil.
Mm-hmm.
And so the lettuce, so the water that's in the lettuce will actually help cool it down some.
So can you use anything other than iceberg lettuce? Because I don't like iceberg lettuce.
You don't? You can use any green. Some people use a spinach leaf. You could use romaine. You like romaine lettuce?
I don't like lettuce. So what could I use, like what else is there? What other leaves are there really? That's there.
Yes.
Can I use cabbage?
You could use callaloo. The callaloo raw. You could use
yeah.
Raw mustard greens.
Okay, and I could use cabbage. I could, you know, cabbage. Like a green. What's that? I can't remember the name of that cabbage, but like a cabbage.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay. All
right. So am I on camera over here?
Yes, you are.
Okay, so you see the filling, right?
Yeah.
All right, so this is our filling. So we're gonna put that in there. Can you see that?
Oh, good. I can, but I don't want to.
I get enough in there. Oh, you know what? That's not how I wanted to do it, but we'll go. I wanted to put the cabbage first.
Mm-hmm.
So we got our cabbage with some color there. We have our spiralized carrot ribbons. And we can
that looks so good.
With some green onions. And then we can actually.
Oh, that looks amazing. Just that one on the plate.
Then we're just going to cut maybe a half a slice. We'll just do that in twos. Just a tad of avocado right there. Now for the magic. It's the sauce. It's the drizzle.
It's not. Not fair. That's just so unfair. I'm not even looking. Gail, I'm not looking. I'm not
You're not
looking.
looking.
Honestly, look at me. I'm not looking. I am not looking. I don't want to see it.
Look,
Oh
Allison.
man, that looks so good. And just adding all those ingredients and the colors and
Mm-hmm. You
this.
would not believe how good this tastes.
No,
But
yeah, I
again,
would.
it's just the flavors,
Yeah.
the seasoning.
Oh my goodness, Gail. I'm sitting here literally wanting to lick my screen. And that is not a good look. It's not a good look at all.
Not a good look.
No.
But an appropriate response. Here comes the chisel.
Oh my goodness.
And then we'll sprinkle on some sesame seeds on top. Man. All right. Well, I'm done because I'm going to eat all of this.
And as they say, voila.
Voila. Can you see it when we bring it closer?
Yeah. Thanks, Gail. I'm trying not to look, but thanks for that. Thanks, Gail.
It's for the audience. It's for your audience.
Yeah. Thanks. Oh man, that looks good. It really does look good.
So one of the things that I'm doing now is, because I want to help people incorporate more fresh fruits and fresh vegetables in their diet. I actually got certified as a juice therapist, because juices is one of the fastest ways to get raw fruits and vegetables into your diet through juicing. And I'll be launching pretty soon my juice programs as well. Because again, if you want to detox and you don't want to, just eat, you can just drink your fruits and vegetables.
Yeah. And I must admit, I am a big juicer. That's one thing. Juicing's been something I've been doing for well over 20 years now.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I've been juicing a lot, because I must admit, as much as I say I eat a lot and meat and stuff, my diet is actually quite a healthy one, because I do like fruits and I do like vegetables. And the thing is, for me, it was a struggle to eat the amount of fruits and vegetables that they said we should eat every day. So what I did, I started to juice it, and I started to drink it. And it was easier for me to drink my fruit and veg intake than it was to eat my fruit and veg intake. Like, so for example, my mother, she will struggle with the juicing, but she will sit there and she will eat those fruits. Because my mom doesn't even eat a lot. But I look at sometimes what she eats, and I say, Mum, what did you have for dinner? A grapefruit. I'm like, how? Who does that? Who survives off a grapefruit? But honestly, my mum will eat a grapefruit for dinner and be full. And I'm looking at her like, no, I couldn't survive off that. But yeah, my mum's good with it. So she's the kind of person, she will eat her fruits and vegetables. I will drink mine. So it's like you said, it's each person has to find what works for them and their body. But as long as they get the necessary fruits and veg, right?
Exactly.
She says, sipping her cucumber water while you eat your cup.
I'm making room. I'm clearing the table.
I'm just saying that, basically, look, I'm just here sipping on this juice. Well, thanks, Gail. I'm just going to sip on this juice. Gail, thanks. I'm not looking. I'm looking at my juice. I'm not. I'm not looking. I'm not paying. I'm not paying you no mind, none whatsoever, because I'm just drinking my juice. So come on, Gail, bite into one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna spare you. Okay.
No, we've gotten this far. Oh my gosh! Do that again. Do that again. Do that again. Yeah. Okay. Thanks. Yeah. Thanks. Thanks for that.
We're just gonna fold it over. Oh, look, all of the juice is already coming out. Mm, mm, mm.
As I sip on my cucumber water. Thank you.
Mm.
I banged my glass down specially, as a petulant child. So I know you're going to have to say it tastes good. So, but tell us, Gail, how does it sound? How does it taste even?
Mm. Beyond good.
Beyond good.
Have any sauce on my?
Listen, I'm the kind of person, the sauce would be running down my chin or down my neck. I'd be licking it down off my arm. Yeah, there's just no hope here.
It is fantastic. I mean, you're getting that, you're getting a crunch from the jicama, which is kind of like if you were to have chestnuts on it. And I don't even taste the mushrooms, and I barely taste the walnuts, but it has that texture.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just so good.
Mm. And I
of
think,
course, with our drizzle sauce and the marinade sauce coming together, it's delicious.
and I'm
And
sure people could kind of modify it to them if they wanted to, like, mince them. I don't know, like instead of putting onion powder, like chop some onions finely or something. People could, I'm sure people can modify it and vary it to their taste.
exactly. Exactly. You can even use this. I'll make a grain bowl, and use the same sauce. If you wanted to do rice with some chickpeas and some cabbage and carrots, green onions, some edamame or something, and make the drizzle sauce and pour it over there, as well. So there's different ways to actually use raw ingredients in a cooked meal as well.
Okay, that's good to know. So it doesn't have to be either or. It could just be a huge combination of them both.
Exactly.
Wow. Okay, great, Gail. Thank you so much. I'm not going to keep you too much longer because I want to eat that. And I'm sure it's sitting in front of you. You really want to eat that. So, Gail, so what's next for you? What works are in the pipeline for you?
So the works are, of course, my the juicing programs, and continuing to work on my certifications and just getting educated, because I really want to focus on the health benefits, the science of raw food nutrition, and really just do more education, whether that's through, events, or just, posting on social media about, the body and raw foods and things like that. So that's what's next, just getting my programs up and running online, and continuing to make delicious raw foods and sharing it with the world.
And is there a cookbook in your future, Gail?
Oh, okay. So there's a regular book and possibly a cookbook coming.
Okay, good.
But right now I do have so last year I did a juice advent, right? The 24 days leading up to Christmas. So I did a juice advent. So I have a recipe book that highlights all 24 juices so there's 24 juices and there's 24 raw food recipes. So they go to my website, kaleherway.com. They can actually download that recipe book.
And the website is Kale, so it's KaleHerway.com.
.com, yes.
Okay, kale is in the leafy vegetable, KaleHerway.com.
Yes.
Excellent. And that's where people can find you if they have any questions, if they want some recipes, or if they want to book you for events, they can get in touch with you through your website also. Is that right?
Yes, the website is still in progress. All of my contact information may not be up there, but if they download the recipe book, I'll have their email address, and then I can email them, information, as we go along.
Excellent. So, Gail,
and my contact information, if they want to inbox me, like on Instagram or Facebook, I'm Kale Her Way and Raw Chef Gail.
Okay, so Kale Her Way and Raw Chef Gail. Is that on both Instagram and Twitter?
Yeah, Instagram and Facebook.
Instagram and Facebook. Okay, so it's Kale Her Way and Raw Chef Gail. Okay, excellent. So now people know where to find you if they want to book you for events, want some advice, want some recipes. or if they just want to sit there and just look at you, because you've got some really good videos. I saw a video you put up, was it a couple of days ago on Instagram? I'm just like, really, Gail? Like, I need to just stop going on your page when I'm hungry. I think that's just it.
Yes, and they can also subscribe to my YouTube channel, which I go in depth over the recipes.
Excellent, great stuff. So everybody knows where they can find you and where they can get some amazing recipes. Gail, I'm not going to keep you much longer because my stomach's making more noise than I am. And I don't really want that to get on the recording. So I'm not going to keep you much longer, but I would really like to thank you for taking the time to inform, educate, and demonstrate for us today on Conversations with Alison J, The Journey to Here. Gail, thank you so much.
Thank you.
You're welcome, my dear. Speak soon.
Okay, bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.